The race for governor heats up. Right before the August primary, it's less than 3 weeks away, and the gloves are coming off. Republican candidate Bob Stefanowski took several punches this week at a debate at Sacred Heart University. He'll talk about his campaign and some of the controversy surrounding it. This first poll came out this week on the GOP candidates. You'll see how they stack up. Plus, Connecticut lawyers take on the Trump administration and its zero-tolerance policy. They were successful in reuniting two families separated at the U.S. border. It's all right here on Face the State this Sunday morning, July 29th, 2018.
From Eyewitness News, Connecticut's most watched local political program, this is Face the State.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Face the State. Bob Stefanowski, his campaign ads, he's here this morning. He says that he is Bob the Rebuilder. He's a businessman. He grew up in New Haven. You've been on Face the State before, but we have just less than 3 weeks to go before the primary, so we wanted to have you back.
Thank you so much for having me back. It's great to be here again.
You and four other Republicans faced off in a debate at Sacred Heart University this week in Bridgeport. And I have to say, it got quite bumpy at the end. It seems like you guys are ready to go at it.
Well, when I got into politics, people said the worst thing you can do as a candidate is be ignored. And I'm certainly not being ignored. I think people know where I stand in the polls. And I think rather than talk about their own records sometimes, they'd rather come at me. And I'm tough, Susan. I don't want to throw the first punch, but if they come back at me, I'll give the facts. I'll point out the controversy. I was the only person on that stage in the debate that committed to eliminate the state income tax and signed a pledge to never raise taxes as governor. I'm the only person to do it. I'm the only one with the guts to do it. And that's why I'm where I am in the polls right now, because that's what the people of Connecticut want.
You and Danbury Mayor Mark Boughton have put this forward, and a lot of promises are made on a campaign. And the state income tax, or the personal income tax, brings in well over $9 billion into the state. It's more than half of the revenue that we collect. Where are you going to find that money? I think a lot of people are thinking, what the heck is he talking about?
Well, first of all, it's amazing to me, before 1991, we didn't have a state income tax. We were the fastest growing state in the entire nation. So why people say we can't do something that we've already done before is interesting to me. But we need to cut cost. We need to right-size this government. At UBS Investment Bank, I was a chief financial officer. I introduced zero-based budgeting. I had every single department come in. I said, I don't care what was in your budget last year. We're starting with zero. We took $1 billion of cost out of UBS in the first 12 months I was there.
Let me take some issue with your, cutting government. I mean, the Malloy administration, I think it's 11 or 12% they've cut government. I mean, you could argue, could it be cut more? But then you're also talking about cutting services. So he's a Democrat, and he's cut government. How much more can you cut government without really hurting services and things that people depend on?
There's 40% of this budget that's still discretionary. That's $16 billion on a biannual basis. I guarantee you, with my budget approach, I can find $2 to $3 billion out of that. The other thing we need to do is restructure. This CBAC agreement needs to be revisited. It's choking the state right now. We need to do that. We need to revitalize our cities. We're throwing good money after bad in a lot of these cities. We have to stop wasting money, and we need to reprioritize. We shouldn't be spending money on buses from New Britain to Hartford. We should be spending money on education. And by doing all that, Susan, we can reduce the cost of the state budget, and we can use that to fund tax reform, lower taxes. Other states have done it. Florida has done it. Tennessee has done it. Texas has done it. They all have budget surpluses. So the question shouldn't be, how can you do it? We have to do it. And again, I'm the only one up on that stage who's committed to do it, and the only one. Mark Boughton has not signed a pledge saying he will not raise taxes as governor. I have. I'm the only one who's done both, and that's very, very important. And that's why I'm where I am in the polls right now.
Well, other candidates have also said that they won't raise taxes, and they have. I mean, Governor Malloy did, and we've had presidents who have said that too.
Yep.
But you and David Stemmerman have both waged your campaign saying that you are outsiders, that you're not career politicians. But some would argue that if you've not been on your town council, not on your board of education, I mean, how can you govern or feel that you're part of the solution when you haven't been participating in even local government?
So I was an entry-level person at GE. GE has 300,000 employees. I worked my way up from the bottom all the way to the top. I was a top officer in the company. You don't get there without being able to negotiate, build alliances, get people that don't work for you to do things that you need them to do. And I would argue government experience is a little bit overrated. Dan Malloy was a 2-term mayor of Stamford. How's that working out for us? There's enough people in this state right now that know how government works. We need to start running Connecticut like a business with profitability and targets and a plan and a vision. And I've been doing it for 30 years, Susan, and those skills absolutely apply to the public sector. Absolutely.
Tolls, toll study?
No tolls.
No
it's
tolls.
just another tax. And can you believe what this guy did yesterday? You know, the public is certainly against it. The legislature was against it. And his parting gift to the state of Connecticut is to spend $10 million. And someone comes out and says, well, $10 million is not a lot of money. Think about what we could be doing with that $10 million, investing in education, fixing our roads, fixing our bridges. It's unbelievable what this guy does.
Let's tackle some controversial things. It's
Sure.
come out several times in your campaign. It came out this week in the debate. You didn't vote for 16 years.
Yeah.
We talked about that at the early stage here on Face the State.
Yeah.
Why not? I think you've kind of tap danced around it, said you were away. I think I read somewhere where you said you wish you had, or,
Yeah.
you know, many, even our war veterans, people
Yeah.
serving overseas get absentee ballots. Why didn't you?
Well, I don't think I've tap danced around it at all. I've told people that I was in London. I was laser focused on turning around a $1 billion company, but that's no excuse. I should have filed an absentee ballot. But I can tell you a couple things. There are a lot of disaffected voters out there right now. There's a lot of people that have not been happy with the candidates that the Republicans and the Democrats have put up. And they're going to come roaring back to the polls this November. And they like what I'm doing. They like the fact that I'm getting rid of the tax. They like the fact that I'm no nonsense. They like the fact that I'm going to drive this state forward, and I'm very comfortable with where we're going to be.
What about a bigger issue for voters, and that is your flip-flopping with parties? In fact, it came out that you registered to be a Republican just 3 to 4 weeks before running for governor. You were a Democrat before that. I mean, how do Republican voters go into the primary and support you knowing that you flip-flopped, and maybe just because you wanted to run for governor?
Yeah, so again, flip-flop, that's not the right term, Susan, but I'll give you the facts, because there's a lot of misinformation out there. There's a lot of attack ads out there. I've been a Republican for 25 years, okay? I was a Democrat for 9 months. Ronald Reagan, Donald Trump, Larry Kudlow, those people were all Democrats a lot longer than I was, and they're pretty good Republicans. I'm going to govern this state with conservative Republican principles. Look at my platform. Get rid of the state income tax, reduce regulation, cut cost. I've got Arthur Laffer, who was Ronald Reagan's chief economist. I got Peter Lamage, who was the most conservative person in this entire race. Who did he endorse? Me. So I think that's old news, Susan. What people want to talk about is what this state is going to do going forward, and I am the best positioned person to do it.
What caused you to be a Democrat?
Listen, I came back from London, and I felt like I wanted to help. I checked out a lot of things. Should I teach? Should I do more volunteer work? And what I decided was, with my tax plan, the best way for me to help this state is be Republican candidate for governor, and we're going to win this election.
What's next for you going forward in these next 2.5 weeks?
Listen, one of the benefits I have is I did not go to the convention. I went out and got 16,000 signatures from registered Republicans to be on the ballot. That is a big leg up for me. You think about it, there's 5 candidates in this race, maybe 100,000 turnout, probably a 25,000 vote does it. I've got 16,000 people that signed, supported me to be on the petition. We're going to them hard. We're talking to them every day. We're making sure we get out the vote. That's going to be a massive leg up for me,
But
Susan.
I think in some way you've changed your strategy. I know you avoided a lot of the debates early on. Many of the candidates now have done, what, a dozen or more. You've done the last 2. Do you think that you're learning to play well in the sandbox, so to speak? That, you know, you have to get your name out there other than maybe on TV.
Yeah, listen, the convention process was never for me. The first 5 debates were focused on the convention process. That's an insider game. I didn't go. Ever since I've been on the ballot, I've gone to every single debate. I would much rather have 16,000 signatures from real Republicans in the field than 200 and 250 delegates at a convention. I've got a big leg. I've got a great field organization. We had to go out and find 16,000 signatures in 45 days. Can you imagine the effort that needs to go into that? I've got the best field organization in this race right now. I've got the best platform. I'm the only one who's not going to raise taxes, and we're going to win this election, Susan.
Premature maybe, but if you do not get the nod in the primary, would you run as an independent?
No. I will absolutely support the Republican candidate, which will be me, but I will support whoever it is.
All right, we want to thank you for joining us
Thank you
on
very
Face
much.
the State. And as we want to mention, there are plenty of other debates still coming up. There are more debates before primary day. The Democratic candidates face off Tuesday, August the 7th. The Republican candidates join us Wednesday, August the 8th. And of course, you can watch them live both days here on WFSB at 3 p.m. That's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. 5 GOP candidates, how do they stack up? After the break, a look at this week's poll. And if you want to watch us, you can always do that. You can email us, call us, tweet us, and check us out on YouTube. We'll be right back.